Good evening to our viewers. Good evening to those who are evening to you, morning to you, afternoon to you. And I think, like my guest was just telling me that he's from Mpika. So greetings to Mpika, greetings to Dundazi, and greetings to Chilubi Island, where I come from. And Honourable Chipoka Mulenga, welcome to this program.
Mwelwa, na Tottenham Kwai, na Konfawonse, and from across the world, from wherever you are watching us from. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for agreeing to this interview. I know it's a bit late and you're very busy, so thank you so much for joining us. And I think I'll go straight into the interview. What is the Ministry of Commerce and Trade? Because you are the minister within Zambia for the Ministry of Commerce and Trade and Industry.
Okay, thank you very much, Mwelwa. The Ministry of Commerce is a ministry that is responsible for the investment in the country. In short, okay, just to summarize it, it's an economic ministry. It looks at the economy of the country. It's cross-cutting. It looks at investment in the energy sector. It looks at investment in the mining sector, agricultural sector, health, you name it, everywhere. It's a ministry that is responsible for how business activities are going in the country. It's not only the Ministry of Commerce, it's called the Ministry of Commerce, Trade, and Industry. Well, I'll start with the last one, industry. It looks at how industries are structured in a country, how those industries that are existing, they are performing and supported to grow. If there is no industry, how do we set up a new one? If there is already an existing, how do we make it grow? So we are responsible for industrialization. We are responsible for value addition that we're talking about. When we talk about commerce, well, I'll say it in a very basic way. Commerce is how business transactions and engagement, trade affiliations, and all those kind of things are done. That is within the country. Who is selling what? How are they selling it? Are they doing it at the expense of the buyers and the customers? Are the consumers getting the right things at the right price with the right quality? And this is not only domestic trade, also international trade, foreign trade. This is the ministry that is responsible. So to bring it home more closely with multilateral bodies like COMESA, SADC, and the new AFTA that we are signing in, this is the ministry that is responsible for that. So when we look at trade, yeah, like I've explained during my comments explanation, within and outside, this is the ministry responsible. Thank you. So this is what the Ministry of Commerce is composed about. It's purely about economics of the country and how business is done in the country. Thank you very much.
Okay. And what are some of the challenges? Because I think we're now about 9 months into this new government. What are some of the challenges that you are facing probably as you're serving as the minister?
Okay, Mwelwa, I'll tell you something, and the listeners out there. Challenges we cannot run away from. They are immense, and our focus is, and we are not complaining, because look, the Zambian people voted us to overcome the challenges. And this is exactly, I think, the new Dawn government is built for, to overcome the challenges and give hope to the people. The challenges are plenty. Number one, we need to revive the economy of this country, replenish the coffers of this country, where there should be disposable income in the people's hands. But the other facet of challenge, look, reviving the economy and everything, it's what we are going to do, it's what we are doing, and we will achieve it. But we need to take a plea to the Zambian people. There should be a mindset change. There should be that attitude of desire to work. In the past, and things like that. Mwelwa Zambia, this is exactly what killed our economy. Getting money that you have not worked for. Money must be earned. There should be a service provided for you to gain. And even when they give you money, you will not spend it, but you will rather invest it. So there should be a mindset shift from that of tantamen TMO and that of let me work and pay me. And other than that mindset change shift that we are making sure that Zambians get aligned, it goes in the civil society, in the civil service, and the public sector as well. We need to change that attitude. A time has come, they need to see services from us, the leaders. So including the people in the councils and the public sector, like in my ministry and others, there should be a serious mind shift change. We do not have time to waste and pretend like we are working when we are not working. People need to see results. For me as Minister of Commerce, mandated by His Excellency, the President of Zambia, to serve on behalf for the people of Zambia, I have got a timeline in which I have to deliver. But to deliver goes beyond me giving pronouncements, me giving policy directions. The public servants I'm working with, the civil servants I'm working with must be equal to the task. I must mention, I am seeing this wonderful shift from within my ministry, where a lot of people, directors and others, are beginning to support, to embrace the hard work culture and working within a certain time frame to achieve our targets and our set goals. I come from a private sector, where when the superior gives you time to say, Nefa by 22 hours, Chipoka, Nishina Oletama results are. I shouldn't wait for 22 hours to deliver. I should make sure that even by 21:30, I should go and say, oh, boss, Is there anything we can do? That is the attitude we need to embrace. But people love to work within a given time frame, and when the time frame comes, they want to give excuses. This is why we are seeing, even in many different parts of this corner, things are so slow to move. It's part of the challenge, but we are engaging them through different platforms, and we are beginning to see the shift. But we are continuing to say, guys, a time to work is now. So those are the minor challenges. Actually, they are major, actually. Those are the challenges that we are seeing, but it takes attitude change. And we are trying to engage them in a very subtle way, in a very sober manner, so that we move together and develop this country in the manner that we all hope to see.
Thank you so much for that. I think in line with that, where you're talking about change in mindset, is there any, if at all, because research and development are some of the things that really push people towards a change. So is there any research and development going on under your ministry that should probably excite us? Because I know in other countries, you're hearing different research and everything. In Zambia, very rare do you hear, no, there's this research that has come out, and it's very rare to hear such a thing.
Mwelwa, what we did actually, even the reason why we came up, because it's not a speculation what I've told you. It comes out of serious research to find out where would be the bottlenecks, or where are the bottlenecks to expeditiously implement the projects that we want. There is a team of think tanks within the ministry, within actually even the party, the UPND itself, and other public players that we have, that we put together. We just launched under my ministry, under the stewardship of His Excellency the President, what we are calling the Public-Private Dialogue Forum. To finish it, I can say Forum for Economic Development. That is a think tank of the private sector. And other than that, we are a government that wants to run a private sector-driven economy. So we do not want to do what we saw in the recent past, where government was just but government alone to do everything on behalf of the Zambian people, regardless or irrespective of the opinions of the Zambian people. We want to have a private sector-driven economy. And to achieve this, we are looking at private sector think tanks, like there's a Zambezi Trade Center, the Zambia Trade Policy, among many others that we are bringing on board to see how best can we get or galvanize every Zambian into believing in our agenda, working together with us, not leaving anyone behind, the youths, the mothers, the old, the aged, that we march together and everybody moves in one direction with one vision. Because if we leave anyone behind, this one is pulling in the other direction, the other one in the other direction, we will not achieve what we want. So definitely think tanks are there. And at the center of this, the ministry is working with these think tanks through directly the ministry itself or other statutory bodies like the Zambia Development Agency, and even PACRA itself is on board, and Zambia's Business Review and Regulations Authority, among many others. Thank you.
All right. Now, very Zambian, I think, is a typical dividedness of our economists, our civil service. We're very divided on economic policy, I tend to think, because you hear this one say this and you hear this one say that. Is there anything that you're doing? Because I think, when we're divided, it's very easy to fall. So is there anything that the ministry is doing in order to probably be a little bit more cohesive on what the voice is, and maybe drive policies towards the state where if an economist, for example, says otherwise, against what probably the government is probably forwarding, that they bring, the research that they've done, and they can, have something verifiable. So is there anything that the ministry is doing to probably make the economists a little bit more cohesive, so we're not hearing different voices all the time?
Mwelwa, I'll be very honest with you and straight with you, and thank you for what you have said to say. There is inconsistency. Others are pulling in the other direction, others are pulling in the other direction. Indeed, we've seen in the recent past where economists are giving advice to the government. Suddenly, you see Alusa direction, Ambokolanda something on the contrary, while you hear the government saying another thing. That, we saw it because of inconsistency in policy direction by government. What we are aspiring for, what we are advocating for, and what we are implementing is consistency in policy direction. And the good thing about Mwelwa, our country right now, for the first time, it is now being led by an economist, a well-accomplished economist, a guy in the age level. And what he has said is, I do not have the monopoly of wisdom, but I can bring in different brains together in the engineering background, like myself, Chipoka, in the law fraternity, like Dr. Munsha and many others that we bring together and work together. And these big brains are not only in the public service, like myself and the president of the rest, but in the private sector. And that's why, if you have seen from the time we have started, the policy direction we've said, and our path to economic recovery is value addition on our raw materials and mineral resources. Akaleva Mwelwa. Nangfena nomba fikirifirechi. You could see Kopanga Bareimba, we externalize it. It just goes like that to foreign countries. When you do this, Mwelwa, don't expect to see new jobs in this country. Don't expect to new percentages of growth in the GDP and many others, because you're doing things just in the same way. Because you are externalizing jobs. You are exporting intellectual properties. You are exporting revenue. But what we have done is, guys, for Zambia to see that jobs start getting created right here, what do? Stop cutting timber, mukula, and rosewood, and not China in its raw form. Start setting up industries right in Zambia, where the youths, the women, the mothers, the fathers will start cutting that timber and developing industries by themselves. What are these industries? They may start small by making desks, making platforms. In future, through the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry, because we decide of how business will be done in this country collectively with everybody else. We are looking, considering all government offices should not buy fancy furniture that is made out of this country, should only buy the furniture that is made out of Zambian wood by Zambian people. Then we are starting to empower each other and supporting each other. That is another first step to industrialization. So when you see these principles we're talking about, industrialization and value addition, it will not only give us money, it will create industries. Industries create jobs that are decent, both pensionable and contractual, and revenue will be within the same. Amataba tuli mechiri merimbe yamba finoko naika kumfula, because we have got smaller storage facilities. We can't just keep making mini meal out of maize. We can do more with it. So our ministry and our government is saying, obviously, we are not working alone as a Ministry of Commerce. We are bringing the Ministry of Science and Technology, led by Honourable Mtati, the Ministry of Energy by Honourable Kapala, Ministry of Local Government by Honourable Nkombo, to work together, among many others, to see how do we make a dream come true. Amataba, we can't just make mini meal. We need to make cornflakes. We need to make cereals. We need to make chicken feed or stock feed. But how do we make that? South Africa, cornflakes. What have you externalized? The cost of Wisaka Liabunga Kashiandi, it is 150 kwacha, 120 kwacha. So when you are buying cornflakes, how many cornflakes will be made from one sack of 50 kg bag? 47, about 47 or 60 of them. One bag is 350 kwacha. 750 grams of cornflakes, 350 kwacha. 10 times more the price. We need that to start happening here. So, and to achieve this, it's not going to happen overnight. But this is something that we want the Zambian people to believe in us. And for now, up to this moment, my sister, there hasn't been anybody in the intellectual circles to come and oppose and saying we are doing a wrong thing. They believe in what we are doing. We are beginning to see consistency, including those economic houses which in the past have always opposed what we are talking about, are beginning to be quiet. And silence means consent. They are agreeing with what we are talking about. And I think consistency and making sense to the people is what is so critical. We are giving hope.
Definitely. I think following up on that one, especially on the policies, where can one get the policies that probably that your ministry is probably forwarding? Because sometimes I think we're a little bit displaced because we don't know what a ministry is doing. And for example, in the case of your ministry, I'll give an example. Maybe how do I know what your policies are so then I can align myself? Careers advisors can align themselves and advise people, and equally university, the Ministry of Education would know exactly the number that is needed, let's say in health or in education, because as of now, everybody just gets into any job you can get into, and there's no career path. But I think if people knew what policies are, and your ministry is able to say, look, in the next maybe year, we need people who are in this career, in that career. So is there anything in line with those policies? And where can I find the policies and what the ministry is doing?
Brilliant. When I just got appointed as Minister of Commerce, the first thing I did was to visit all my statutory bodies other than the ministry itself. I visited PACRA, ZDA, you name them. The thing that was lacking the most is information about what they are supposed to do. And I told the public relations officers, I told their CEOs that, guys, the public needs to know who we are. The public needs to know what we are meant to do for them. And the policies we are coming up, the revision of policies, the implementation of policies cannot just be done by a minister through a media engagement like this one, or a policy announcement, but it should be stuck somewhere. On a day like today, in a year like now, you cannot underestimate the power and influence of social media. Everybody and all these statutory bodies, I gave a direction. If you do not have Facebook page, you need to go on YouTube, you need to go on Twitter, you need to go on Instagram. And all these activities we are doing, post them. Let the world know about them. What I do, look, when I go into my constituency, Chingola constituency, which we Mpala, I have to stream live on Facebook so that people see. And they will not just see and appreciate that how Chipoka is actually Mpala. They should also pick the notes and say, we draw lessons from criticism. And then we build on. So the policies we are doing, the anchor of investment in our ministry is Zambia Development Agency. Zambia Development Agency, in the past and even now, there are some things that we need to refine. Minister 10 years ago, nationally, we need to do that and get updated with our activities. So the policies, the incentives and everything, we're updating them. And others, we're doing them on a daily basis. Others, we're doing them as and when they come. Others, we're updating them on a monthly basis based on when we are revising them. So go to the website of the Zambia Development Agency. If you do not know the Zambia Development Agency, go to the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry. It has got on its page windows that will lead you to these respective statutory bodies. But ultimately, go to the Zambia Development Agency, which is under the Ministry of Commerce. You will see the investment policies that are there, the attraction centers for investment that we have got, and many other things that we are giving to attract investment in this country, and the policies that will spur that investment in this country. And by the way, I need to make mention of this in Mwelwa. The investment we are attracting is not only foreign direct investment, even local. No, this country will never develop if government does not deliberately bring on board bring on board Chingola, or should I say, in short, the locals Chingola to be Zambia to join the development agenda. And we should bring them on board. His Excellency the President has made it very clear. He's leading and is providing service to this country, number one, to the people that elected him, the Zambians. Our charity is subsidiary. Yeah. So that now, if we are behaving like 80% of the jobs, Zambian 20%, it was a policy. How do you give 20% to 80%? Are you thinking? No, 20%.
You're robbing yourself.
Exactly. Where will they get 100%? But I liked what the president did. That must be 2 months or so in office. Because I'm a timber licenses, they were owned by foreign nationals. Wow. he revoked, yes, he revoked all the licenses for all foreign nationals. And he said, when you give these licenses, only Zambian nationals should be the owners of the licenses. Only.
Yeah.
Only the resources of your country. I love this president, guys. He's concerned about our welfare. He's giving us leadership and stewardship over our own resources. Lelo fome na Zambia. If na chanda mind change, bami pera ma license. Bami na bamukula chitishi. Bale babomfia fe kuntanchi. But they put the film trucks and then bambi. Stop that. Nga mwakwata license idia. Na mutamukwete ndalama bukumu bwenu. Bamwisanga na bakwate ndalama. Imukwete license. After an event, you can even get 50% of their wealth of what they are doing because they want what you have, the timber. You want what they have, the money. Cut it, share 50-50. Because without your timber, they will not go anywhere. And grow. So set up industries here, you get the desks made in this country, get the chairs made in this country, the doors and everything in this country, even to a good quality where we can even export. But Zambians should be a part of the value chain that we're talking about. Thank you.
All right. I think, and following up on that one is, I think the CDF, which was, if memory serves right, I think the CDF was started in 1995, and unfortunately, none of us. I'll be very honest. I had no clue what CDF was until recently, probably because then somebody says, "Oh, there's this that is being offered to the citizens." And it was for the citizens before, but it never really did reach the citizens probably on a more home or very local level. But I'm seeing that the CDF will probably become a lot more competitive because obviously people need to be a bit more ingenious as they apply for their loans and everything. So are there any incentives that are going to be provided for people who ideally maybe create industries or manufacturing industries and they're employing on a mass scale? So is there any inventions, that kind of thing? Are there any incentives for Zambians who create inventions and maybe employ on a large scale?
Mwelwa, for Zambia to develop, the Zambian people must be involved. And for Zambia to develop, the Zambian people must be given incentives, or should I say concessions, on how they do business. I can assure you, concessions and incentives were only meant for foreign direct investment. Zambians, paying taxes.
Yeah.
What have we done as a new Dawn government? He said, number one, how do we support the local entrepreneur? We have got Millennium Development Goals of 2030 to attain a middle income status in the country. How do we get there? We can never get there if we neglect the small medium enterprises. We neglect the Zambian people to be part of the ecosystem of economic recovery. The CDF nkashandiulela na constituency development fund ishininda lama isha kuchinja ma constituency kwa tufumine filaba gari kombo bafuma ku southern province constituency yabo ile nafuma kuchingola constituency yandi naba pusana chilenda lama shilingi shaya bomboko mbuli akale bale tupela kuli ubuteko bwa fuminepo 1.6 million na 1.6 million bale salomo yalaya inchende kuna bale mwana takwa abantu bakutachale yano.
Yeah, that's very true.
No, by no stanka shiati. As long as you are a Zambian, the president gave a directive. Li bata ni filmo atinika mpa wonseba pokerela. Na Endalamesh, it has moved from a tune of 1.6 million to 25.7 million. Mucha akalenga shiandi de kangula ndio musango, it's 25.7 billion. Now, what have we done? We need to say, Zambians, believe in yourselves. This is your money. You can manage it. Don't spend it, invest it. And we are giving it on a quarterly basis. Almost 2 months ago, Nari Pokelela 8 million pusho. Labor empowerment, Yabena Zambia, to start setting up industries, to start setting up businesses, to start setting up running contracts. But we do not want them to do the first time and fail. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. What do we do? Yeah. There should be capacity building for our people. Skill development, skill enhancement and building. Muri CDF in Kashiandi, Kuchingola Finonde Kweva, CDF committee and led by Yanipe, Yadi Pwa, na tukusana select ama beneficiaries abo twalasa bambi kuba loader driver bambi kupalembao bambi batela la among many other things. So when we start giving them the finances, they will run and manage them very well. And these skills we've negotiated, we've gone to beg from skill training centers like Don Bosco, Crowhammer, and many others to say to fungireni kwa abantu abo balefo yabe to develop the constituency. So when is the watch me Nkashia, I'll be in my constituency to award the deserving recipients of the CDF. This is a skill training. Abashikweteka lusangu akale twalela ndafati like ntaniwa kana figure 12 ebo bala parents to bala college. But we grade 12 mu Zambia no. Why? Because never fear shaving. That's why we've even introduced free education. From today, my sister, 12 years down the line, there will be no Zambian that will not have grade 12 certificate because we have provided that. Now, this skill development, my sister, once we empower them now with resources to run businesses, to run contracts, they will not fail because they've been built with capacity. In the past, youth empowerment, but ishindalama shachalo tesha kwa Chipoka iyo tesha musokotwane iyo shabantu. We want, when we give these people, I always become very careful with my words. They should not spend this money. They should rather invest this money, and that is what we are talking about. So
okay.
this
Definitely. So the government of the Republic of Zambia, through the ministry, your ministry, and the European Union in Zambia on the 25th of March, launched the first ever EU-Zambia Economic Forum in Lusaka. So the theme was economic transformation through green growth. So what is green growth?
Thank you. Ngashandi kwa betu that global warming. Nana mumona kwa bepi ine neshmain. I come from an industry which is responsible for emissions of a lot of fumes and different. Don't talk about carbon. A lot of emissions in the environment. So the environment na yona ulomulu. Nemfula filea lelo Zambia. Tuale mone ili ingi 4 October. Papa independence. We knew that in November, 24 October, Papa independence. But today, the independence is in December for Christmas.
Yeah.
So the rainfall pattern has changed because of pollution. But Zambia is affected as well because of this global warming. Akale southern province kwale basana emfula nabali mechuma mwene bali sulilo kwa bane school bale mabale disha ne chalo lero rain pattern na ichinja mulando wa global warming imfula takuleba yaisa kukela kwa beoti badampu abantu bali mu southern province kwa beoti okota tulima tu yafe ku mugodi eko yaisa imfula kudoko balima ifili mafyaona ika. So how do we become a part and parcel of that government or country that protects the ecosystem, the environment? So how we do business, we should do it in such a way that there are few, even as we talk about industrialization, we should not our environment, yes. We should not allow emissions that will destroy our environment. So number one, how do we do this? Through a smart, eco-friendly economy. This president has set up a ministry we are calling Ministry of Green Economy, led by an engineer, Nzovu. The ministry, in an angle, Chipoka Chipoka Pango Mgodi, Chipoka Panga factory. I said, make sure the factory na panga, na environment. Panding what avan. Wakesa chura na be shukuru bandi, na nguni mfwaine, wakwata environment, but environment wale kana mwenye polluted. So as we are trying to be a part of the value chain or the ecosystem, ya kuleta green, environmental friendly industries, we are trying to bring imyotoke shtuenshe kwatama diesel na petrol. Chira kunye chushi. Eichile onawala nechalo. Lero echalo na chikara. Now, with some of our friends from Europe and Asia, they are saying we need to come up with cars that are not emitting fuels. So which cars are we going to make? Cars that are driven by electrical materials. What are the major components for electrical materials? Copper, cobalt, manganese, lithium. And that's where Chipoka comes in. Akaindialanda, my son, go and make an industry in Zambia that will start making copper valuable for us, because copper is becoming the next oil in the Middle East. And this is an environment that we are not going to let loose. We are working very hard to make sure that we put up an industry other than the copper mining industry that is going to start making copper wires developed into electrical cables that we can use in our own homes, that we cannot send to different countries and buy them back at higher prices. We need to start making batteries. Zambia done it before batteries. We can still do that, and we are going to do it under this administration. So those are the things among the many that we discussed under the European Commission, Union Zambia Economic Forum that we talked about. But it's not only in the industry development sector that we talked about, even in the health sector, even in the ICT, even in the fintech. We are talking about this. We want business portfolios to grow. Akale, takwale wapati ba Europe na besa bale kumana na Zambian private sector will take a work, but we are bringing the private sector on board to make sure that they are the ones who are engaging with these European communities that we're talking about. I was meeting with the Israelis. The Israeli ambassador came, God bless her, to say, now if we want to be a part of the Zambian business community where we can do business together. This morning I was doing it. Very soon another country came on board. Tomorrow I will be with the French, where I'll be talking about how best Zambia can be sold to the world. We can attract investment in Zambia, where companies should be set in Zambia. So this is what we are doing with the European Union and many other stakeholders, strategic partners that we have. Thank you.
Right. So I think probably this is another stakeholder, because I think you recently spoke at a business reception hosted by the UK Minister of Africa, Honourable Vicky Ford, on her first official visit to Zambia. So the reception also witnessed the launch of the British International Investment, which is co-hosted by Mr. Nick O'Donoghue, who's the chief executive of the British International Investment. So what is the British investment, and what does it offer to the Zambian markets?
Thank you for that one. I need to bring the Zambia, I would not really shifting from what you've told me, but I need to take the Zambians in this direction. I want to say what I said on that platform. Look at our friends in, we pride ourselves to say we are part of the Commonwealth. But as we pride ourselves to be part of the Commonwealth, what gain or value are we getting from being members of the Commonwealth? We are so grateful. Britain has been a friend, always a friend, supported us in the health sector, education sector, the social cash transfer, among many other things. But when you look at our brothers in the DRC, planes are flying directly from Kinshasa to Lisbon. From Angola in Luanda directly in Portugal, among many other things. This is enhanced trade between the colonial masters and the people the former colonies they had. So I told even Honourable Minister Vicky Ford, we need to reopen the routes between Zambia and London, between Lusaka and London. It's my responsibility to lobby on that that on behalf of the government. And thank God, we were celebrating last week the birthday of Her Majesty the Queen of England. During that celebration, I was told by one of the people at the missions to say, we are writing a response to yourself for what you said. It touched our hearts and we are looking into it. They have not told me the response, whether it's positive or negative, but message was sent and they're looking into it. Let me tell you why I made that clear. If British Airways starts coming to Zambia, it will open a lot of investment opportunities between Zambia and England, a direct route. Number one, it will be cheaper for Zambians to fly directly from Zambia into England. No need to connect into other destinations. to be cheaper. Number two, it will enhance export directly from Zambia into England. England used to import our flowers because the British Air was coming. Just a cargo plane could come. The beef could move from Zambia into England. Today, our beef has to go into Namibia, then it goes to the other side. It can't be that way. We need to get the full value of being a Commonwealth member. And then we can do this. Now, looking at the investment that you just told me that Her Excellency Vicky Ford came to launch, yes, it's a good one. They want to invest in many different portfolios, many different. That is in the ICT, business enhancements, facilities, and many other things. But we still reiterate our commitment to value addition-based kind of investment. And we're trying to tap into that. It must be £5 billion they want to, 500 million pounds they want to invest. We want that to go into setting up an industry in Zambia. Land Rover, which is a British prestigious motor brand. At one time, don't forget, we had a plant in Indola. We can still do that. Range Rover Sport mapa. South Africa. We could have had it from But we can still bring them back and do that here. So this is the agenda we have for this country. But to do this, we need everybody to support this idea. The British are willing to work with us and support us in many different engagements. But ultimately, let's believe in ourselves that we can do this. Thank you.
I think that's very true. I think following up on that, especially in line with exports, one of the struggles that I think a lot of Zambians find, and equally the British will equally find, is that they have their own standards. Europe has its own standards on packaging and stuff like that. Yes. So we sort of fall short. So you find like the price of avocados in the UK is so abnormal. And then I come to Zambia and I'm in Copperbelt, avocado chili store. And I'm wondering, niche avocado cha so ku UK. And, yeah. So is there anything that the ministry is doing, especially in line with us having to learn, especially as the Zambians in these industries, to learn on the packaging and the guidelines that we need to be following if we want to begin to export things there?
Kasha, let me tell you the first thing I did, what the president told me. I think in the first months, first weeks, it has always been very difficult for African products, Zambian products in particular, to penetrate even regional markets, citing quality issues. Later on, to penetrate Europe, it was almost impossible. Why they were saying quality issues? His Excellency told me, engage Europe, engage Latin America, engage Asia, to stop shining our products and say they are inferior, but bring their quality assurance policies in this country. And this is exactly what we are doing. Instead of them saying, no, your honey is not good, come, set up your quality assurance policies in Zambia, so that when we produce, we certify them fit using your standards, and then we export them.
Yeah.
We have done that. We are doing that. And this is the plea I even made to the Israelis today. Israel is a country that is small, but so big in a technology. And we want innovation, in creativity. That's what we want to learn from them. So we are asking them to come and be with us, so that the Zambian youthful population, they can join in. So look, my sister, we refuse to say our avocados cannot reach European markets. Under this administration, my sister, checking because the quality is the standard that we say, come and do it from here. And it should not only end for the Kotapera, it should go into our maize, it should go into our honey, it should go into our soybeans, it should go into our wheat and many other things. There should be nothing saying it's inferior here and it's better there, while theirs come in because it is referred to be the best standard. Come set up your standards here. We'll give it to you as you want it. So my sister, we are breaking those barriers. Engagement.
No, definitely. I
is the
think
most
those barriers are actually being broken, because I think I've recently seen pictures of somebody that's managed to sell their honey in Harrods. So I think that's a that's a positive.
Harrods. Now
Yeah.
you're talking about Harrods. You know what Harrods is more than I. And somebody can
Yes.
still hunt Harrods. Zambia is actually we've arrived.
Yeah. Clarification in this.
For
And
a
I
light
think
and
following up, following up, I think also equally on that one, I'm looking at the CDF again, and I'm thinking we're going to have many tailors, we're going to have many carpenters. Obviously, the markets are going to become infiltrated with and saturated with these trades. Now, some of these trades, it now means, for example, maybe if I'm a tailor, we still have salaola, and it's everywhere in the streets. So at what point, or are we looking at anything in the future where we actually say we need to stop getting the salaolas, we need to stop getting the Chinese graded clothes, different grades coming in, and we begin to manufacture these ourselves?
That's a good one you have said, my sister, but I will not tell you right now the decision that is yet to be made on that one, because we have to work, like I said, the private sector. The private sector, we have to engage them. But I will not preempt it today because we have not engaged them. So today, we don't want to make policies that surprise our people. We want them to be ready to receive those policies, ready to migrate from this kind of business engagement into the next. But ultimately, let me tell you what CDF would do. And I hear your fears. Before we had free education, President Daka in opposition, that man is very consistent. He said, we will provide free education. Free education. Forget about the other countries. Think about us. What is our need? What is our ambition? There is free education today, my sister. And the free education we have introduced, the Zambian people have introduced, has seen an influx of pupils in class.
Yes.
You find the children sitting on the floor. But others are laughing, saying, see, free education is a failure. How is it a failure? When now it gets every child from the street, every child from home into classroom. It is better a child sits on the floor and attends education, because there is hope that one day they will be like Mwelwa, Mushiwe, Tanisha, and speak English. Rather than being kunga and data okabe fontin. But that is an opportunity now for tellers to find more market. And other than that, we, the government, are seeing an opportunity in the children sitting on the floor. Because now we have seen that more children were at home, now they're in class. What is the opportunity? Let's build more classroom blocks. Nechilumba, I'm here to say that back home in my constituency, Chingola, we've built how many classroom blocks in the past 9 months? One, we've built Kuipopu, Takwali Pone School. Nalia Kamakulu Zambia. 2, Banyama, 5 classroom blocks. 3, Kululamba, we've built up 4. And in Ayambi, Tualia Lomba Kulu Mimbola resources very to Kulina. Why are we building more classrooms? Because we have seen Abanabalika na Panch. Hilo so tulelanda na twamba nalia lomba kuna kulwa shiksa kukawama palife classroom block imo na matire finondera ndamobera chingola ndi aba kukawama kulya n'abambo kula n'amaboho tulebika. Why are we building classroom blocks? We have seen abana baleka la punch, so it is an opportunity to provide the service to our people and provide decent learning environment. So education, free education is not a failed project but a success. And it's drawing lessons that are making me to come and lobby from you, my sister, to say, because now many of our children are going into school. So the CDF is providing opportunities to our tailors to sell more to the children, to the parents of the children that are in school. The CDF is providing an opportunity to sell more desks. Sure. You can say the Zambian products na uniform they are inferior. They will continue to be inferior. You need to buy from them. Then they will start improving. They will buy equipment and improve. Even they were not just born as experts with their tables or anything. They started from somewhere. But they kept believing in each other. Chinese temple to China. So no. They said nga bamulipira mpya contract umwine aiba barabakanda kuja na ifuna ku Zambia nga bamuperesha CDF aya ku South Africa mukushana amasha kumukaka kuchi because shared drama should be used mu Zambia and spent well. So our vision and focus is let us keep believing in ourselves. Let us keep improving our capacity and ability to provide a service to ourselves. In future, tukalabila masuit kwatiri mbitushire ku take. Tukalapanga ama table kwatu tushire order ku China. Tukalapenta amasukulu nokukula kwatuletera ama Chinese nangaba kufya lofimbi kusamukutukulira. We need to believe in ourselves. So the CDF is money to be invested, not spent, but invested by people in their respective constituencies. This is empowerment of the local people. The challenge to approach. This time we're doing it. Thank you.
Absolutely. I think, and lastly, any tips for the local businesses on the exports front? So we had GOTS in the last government. We just had GOTS were headed to Dubai. We don't know which GOTS headed to the to Emirates, who was sending them. But are there any tips or any products that one could venture into in readiness for markets abroad?
PF badge no book. Saudi Arabia.
Shali pupukanga. Shali at the university.
Ponse po wapita wa Bush mwe mulete kama Saudi Arabia tishama hapo mnandiwa na ngumu. Wafya. Now my sister, listen. I would lie to you to say I have engaged any Saudi to say that we are exporting goods to them. I saw recently our brothers in Botswana, they've signed a deal where they're doing that.
Yeah.
Our friends in the past could make pronouncements which they could not live up to. Our focus is to engage the Middle East, European Union, Asia, and the rest of the world on things that will benefit the Zambian people. You're telling me how Zambians have, local Zambians have access to foreign market. We are trying to broker deals where Zambian, not only businessmen, even engineers, even teachers and the rest of them, to go and have investment in the DRC. Zambia has developed a lot, let me tell you something, technicians, engineers, plenty of them.
Yeah.
Congo has developed more doctors and engineers, more than Zambia has developed. We have got doctors from DRC working in our hospitals and clinics, plenty of them, and they're opening clinics. A lot of Congolese. But we don't have the technical people more. And we're trying to have that exchange where most of our people work there. It's the same thing even on the business facet. We want our people to trade with them and market that. Me, as a minister, it's not my job to wrestle business with the people I'm serving. It's to provide an enabling environment for them to have access and a platform from which they do business. That's my responsibility.
Yeah.
So I'm working so hard that we deliver, we get the people of Zambia together to do this business for them. When the president went to Congo, he took Zambian businessmen. When my permanent secretary, former permanent secretary, Mulenga, went to DRC, he got businessmen even in Chingola and other places into DRC, and others have got business linkages there. When I was in Angola, I took the business community into Angola, and the selection is on merit. We don't need to see at Pantuninka Shandi Mwelwa, Nalamolo Shapampumio, Nala Senda. We are just picking everyone from small to middle to large scale businessmen to set up in foreign countries. So opportunities are there. Our Shishi we know opportunities here. If you engage the ministry, we are working so hard, tirelessly, to see that this becomes a reality. Thank you, my sister.
Honourable Chipoka Mulenga, thank you so much for allowing us to get your knowledge and bother you at this time of the day. I know this you are very busy
here
and everything. So thank you very much for, thank you so much for agreeing to this interview and even enlightening us on so many things, because I think this has been really insightful, and some of the questions that we always want to ask but cannot ask, I think, have been addressed, and I'm sure we'll come and bother you again in the near future. So thank you so much.
At your service, you're not even bothering me. You're not even bothering me. You're giving me an opportunity to engage with you. I love this Bakwetu TV, to engage with the people. I just want to thank you. Kubena Chingola, abatupele isambu chako bonfi babo ba Chingola kwaya iliyo timu lipange ndiko sebole fyatwala nshenye na kakabera kali munsi. Na wose kumubona tuwempala nesampale na totela sana. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to our listeners, to our viewers, and to those that sent in stars. And those that we're sharing, thank you so much for listening in. And I will just say that this is good night or good morning and good afternoon. And thank you for sharing this time with us.
Good night from Zambia. Bye-bye. From Chingola constituency.